I tell you one little story? I grew up in Compton and didn't have a lot of money. And this is going to end up applying to you. I wanted to. And a man came to my dad, I was about 5 years old, and said, Bill, I work for McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, or one of those big companies. He said, we have tickets to Disneyland. Me and my wife can't go. Would you like to take your two boys to Disneyland? This is 1959, okay? Disneyland wasn't doing very well. What's so difficult about looking at people who are very successful is almost no one is going to want to put your life in reverse. When they see your giant success, but they're not going to hear you whispering up at the ceiling, we have to pay our employees before we pay ourselves. But here I am. My dad says, I'll take you to Disneyland. It was failing. No one thought Disneyland would work. It was a carnival. Most carnivals leave after 4 days. The community actually wants them to leave. They're thought of as dirty and crummy, and here comes a man who says, I'm going to have Disneyland for 365 days a year. No one believed him. There was no reason to believe him. And I was suddenly getting to go to Disneyland. The only reason we could go was because most people weren't filling the park. So they let a whole company rent the park. Boeing said, so there we are. I come in to Disneyland. My brother goes to Futureland, the future, Tomorrowland. Where did I go with my mom? I went to Frontier fucking Land. My brother's in Tomorrowland. He's 5 years older than me. I have my mom take me on the Grand Canyon ride, and at that time they had mules, real mules. Not things on rollers or whatever, real mules. And I remember looking down at everything. It was detailed. It was magnificent. And I went on that 5 times. My blessed mom, she had to ride the mule 5 times. 5 times. And the last time I said, we have to go again. And my mom loved me so much. And I said, we can go one more time, Mom. And there was looked over, and there was this yellow tape that we couldn't go anymore because some famous people were coming through. And I thought, no, if my mom was faster, we could beat them. And I said, Mom, we can beat these people. I can see them down. Please, Mom, let's go. She goes, Kevin, I can't. She called me Kevin. She goes, I can't. I said, we can. They're old. Look at them. and she said, so I ran and I waved her and I got under the tape and I turned and I went and I hit this man. And he bent at the knees. And every man behind him gasped. And I looked up at this man, and then I looked at my mom, and I knew something was wrong because she's this. And I'm thinking, come on, Mom, they stopped. And I looked down, and this man looked at me and said, do you like this ride? And I said, I love this ride. And he turned around, and he looked back at these men. You hear this? He doesn't like this ride. He loves this ride. He said, you better go back over to your mom right over there. So I thought. They went by, I was with my mom. She said, do you know who that was? I said, no. She goes, that was Walt Disney. And what that means for me, he was doubted, unbelievably doubted. But the detail that went into Disneyland, Walt, it's too much. The streets cobblestone, Walt, it's too much. It doesn't have to look like Switzerland. No one's ever been to Switzerland. He needed it to look like that, built it in here. And he turned back and he looked at who knows was there, but I'm sure some of his accountants and his lawyers were there. And he said, this kid doesn't just like the ride, he loves it. And Disneyland is a giant success. What if everybody's wrong? You have a feeling about what you do.